Hey everybody, this is Patty Rice. God calls me the Promise Coach, and He tasked me to use this channel to encourage others to contend for the promises of God and to stand in faith for the things that they're believing for. And so that's what I come on here every week to do. And I just want to be a reminder as well that God watches over His word to perform it. So God has been talking to me about a specific word that He wanted me to release. And this word is related to people who are involved in business, whether you're an entrepreneur, a leader, a professional, in some way involved in business. And you may not even be involved in business yet. But this is a word for you if that is your situation. And I always tell people to please, whatever you hear, take it to God. Ask Him, is the word for you? And if the word is for you, ask Him to give you insight related to the word so that you'll be able to react accordingly. And so I'm just going to jump right into the word. So God is saying that there are architects and there are builders. And so this was God giving me just a word of knowledge and also a word of wisdom. He said there are architects and there are builders, and it's something that He's built into people. And He started by sharing with me that I'm an architect. And so what He did was what He normally does with me when He gives me a word. A lot of times He'll have me kind of either walk it out or I'll have a dream or something like that. And so I walked out this particular word. He told me over like a few weeks, you're an architect, you're an architect. And, I started asking him more questions about that. And so what wound up happening was one of my clients, I wrote a strategic plan for him. And God really, downloaded it to me, gave me the blueprint for it. And then when I presented it, a woman on my client's team, she then began to implement some of the things that I had put into the plan. And so God highlighted to me, showing me you're an architect and then there are builders. So He woke me up in the middle of the night and began to speak to me about this. And He said, some people have both traits in varying degrees, but most people are one or the other. And He said that what He's going to do, He's going to begin to show people which one they are. And He said that architects are the ones that He gives the blueprints to. He said they are the idea persons who have the framework, the structure. And He said the builders are those that execute, that they are the ones who understand how the idea or concept should be implemented. They are usually process tactical people. And He said in this season that we've entered, that His people will begin to recognize whether you are an architect, and I put in parentheses here, a planner, or a builder, and I put in parentheses, a doer. And He said what He's doing is He is pairing architects and builders, and He's bringing forth those divine connections between the two. He said up to this point, there have been many architects with ideas and concepts, and you may be one of them, and you've been frustrated because you don't know how to execute. You have this great idea and you're like, Lord, how do I even make this thing, put this thing in motion? And He said, equally, there are frustrated builders who are anxious for just one good idea. There's people who are raring to go, raring to get involved in something, get their hands in something, but they don't have those creative ideas. And they're like praying and asking God and longing for, Lord, I need that big idea. I need that witty idea. God was telling me that we have seen pairings of architects and builders in many sectors, including biblical times. So one of the examples that I have is of Moses and Bezalel. and I'm hoping I'm saying his name correctly. But in scripture, God gave Moses the blueprint for building the Ark of the Covenant. And then Bezalel, God gave him the abilities, the skills to be able to actually put that in motion and build the Ark of the Covenant. And so that's one example in scripture. And God showed me a couple of other examples that we would be familiar with. He mentioned Martin Luther King was an architect and that Ralph Abernathy was a builder. So together, the two of them working on the civil rights movement, a lot got done because you had the architect and you had the builder working side by side, hand in hand together. He told me that Steve Jobs was an architect and Steve Wozniak was a builder. And many people who know the story of Apple and how that came to be, Steve Jobs, he had these grand ideas, and Wozniak was the one that understood the coding and knew how to put it into practice, put it in play. So the Lord is saying he wants his people to ask him which one you are, whether you're an architect or a builder. And he said, and then when he reveals to you which one you are, that he wants you to pray in what you need. So if you're an architect, you will begin to pray in a builder. If you're a builder, you will begin to pray in an architect. And so again, God told me that I'm an architect, and he told me that he wants me to really begin to pray in builders that will come in and help build on the ideas that he's given me. And that word was confirmed also because a pastor friend of mine, he called me and he just went in tongues, and then he started prophesying to me, and he started giving me a word of knowledge, confirming the word of knowledge I'd already gotten, because God started showing him. He said, you're an idea person, you're a structure person, you understand structure, you know how things, ideas, how ideas should be put together and presented. And so he said, and God is going to connect you with two people who know how to implement your ideas. So that was a confirmation for me, because I hadn't told anybody about what God had been sharing with me. And so I wanted to tell everybody on here that God is saying in this season, he is revealing whether you are an architect or a builder, and he is connecting, bringing divine connections of architects and builders together. So you architects, get ready. The ideas and the concepts that you've had, some of you have had them for years. Some of you have had them for many years, and they've just been sitting on the shelf, and you've been frustrated, and you've been confused about, God, why isn't this coming to fruition? It's because you need your builders. And so begin to pray in your builders. And for builders, again, if you are one of those who you're like, I would just love to be working on something I could believe in, a passion project that I could really love and get my hands dirty in, and I just want to be a part of something that is not only good, but that is all God, you begin to pray in your architects, the people with the ideas, the people with the concepts, so that you can bring your A game to it and really cause, the two of you together will bring those things to take off. And so I just pray for everybody that's listening, who is who this word is for you. Take this thing to God and really begin to pray in the divine connections that God has for you, because he's doing this particular move right now. I love you so much. I look forward to talking to you again very soon. And like I always say, God keeps his promises. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.